You're live on PM Express. Tonight, a big conversation that affects majority of Ghanaians. If you've ever owned a car, I can guarantee you that first car will be a second-hand vehicle or a salvaged one. If government has its way, you will not be able to ever buy those vehicles. And that's why we're having this conversation. The amendment of the Customs Bill, a move to ban importation of used and salvaged vehicles. Is it justified? There's a rationale for this, though, that we're going to be interrogating. Now, when Parliament attempted to do this in the House, it generated controversy. Now, Parliament's Joint Finance and Trade Committees made recommendations to the House to approve the amendment, which will ban the importation of used vehicles, but as well as salvaged vehicles. For used vehicles, any car that is more than 10 years old, will not be allowed to come into the jurisdiction. And that is a very important point to observe as far as this particular proposed bill is concerned. Now, one other thing that I need to bring to your attention as far as this bill is concerned is that what the government is saying about this. But the move is part of incentives being offered to many vehicle manufacturers that have shown intention to come to Ghana, set up factories here, and produce the cars locally. And it is part of the Ghana Automotive Manufacturing Development Program that government of Ghana is pursuing. There's a whole list of global multinational manufacturers who've expressed interest to come to Ghana. There is Toyota, there's Nissan, there is Peugeot. All of these vehicle manufacturers, VW and others, have all expressed an interest to come into Ghana. But the thing is it commercially viable for them to set up these factories here? When in any case, the average Ghanaian will not be purchasing these brand new locally manufactured cars, but will have an appetite for the imported ones. And government thinks maybe the way to incentivize and convince them to come finally is to ban the importation of these cars, and so that they can have ready market for it if we're producing here in Ghana. And that is fundamentally the reason why government is doing this. Now, the Trade Minister has been to Parliament to argue for this particular bill. He says it is part of the efforts to make Ghana an industrial hub. That's what he says. There are concerns, though. The minority is not buying what he's selling. They are kicking against this particular one. And because a lot of jobs are at stake. A lot of the garages sell second-hand vehicles, more than 10 years old, salvage vehicles. In fact, almost 80% plus of the vehicles that will be branded as second-hand vehicles are salvage vehicles. They bring them in with slight damage. It's repaired in Ghana. It's sprayed. It's put on the market. You go, you buy, you drive. That's business as usual. But that is going to stop if this bill is passed into law. Now, the second-hand car dealers are also resisting the move for obvious reasons. This will fundamentally affect their business. They will be out of business if this is passed. They explain that the salvage vehicles and the ones considered overaged are what majority of Ghanaians do. This is a no-brainer. That's the truth. It's a fact. They want the government to reconsider the decision. Will government do so? We don't know. So, key question to ask tonight: is this move justified? We'll get into that after the break. Live on PM Express tonight. In the studio is my guest, is a member of the Trades Industry Committee in Parliament, Inusah Fuseini, who's joining me on this conversation with the banning of the cars. This is such an important piece of legislation that hasn't gained too much attention, but we should pay attention to it because of the potential it has and the implications for so many people across the country. I have owned and still own a second-hand vehicle, and so clearly this is a policy that affects me, affects you. And we'll also be speaking to Eddie Kusi Ankoma. He is the Greater Accra chairman of the Automobile Dealers Association and CEO of Erata Motors. They also retail vehicles. He joins us on the telephone line as well. Mr. D, thank you for your time on PMS First tonight. Hello, Mr. D. Edu Kusiankoma is with us on Skype. You can see him. Can you hear me? Hi, Mr. Ankoma. Can you hear me? Okay, we'll try and rectify the challenge with this Skype line there so we can hear him on this. I want to start. We're also expecting to join us Ato Panford. He's a vice chairman of the Trade and Industry and Tourism Committee and MP for Shama. He's agreed to join us. He's not here yet, and we're hoping that he will join us shortly, just to get a sense of why the committee has already recommended passage of this particular bill before them. Inusah Fuseini, you're a member of the committee on this matter. When your name came up as a member of the committee, oh goodness, Inusah Fuseini on trade? Because, you know, we're used to talking to you about legal matters, constitutional legal affairs, committee of parliament, etc. Or in other cases, natural resources, because you used to be a minister then. Then they say trade, and I'm like, goodness, easy. And well, so here you are talking about a matter. By the way, you don't need to be a specialist to talk about the subject, I guess. What was the argument for this when the trade minister and the others appeared before you to justify the bill?
Evans, it's important for me to state that I am the oldest member of the Trade, Tourism and Industries Committee.
Good context.
In fact, I actually was part of Ghana's team to the EU as a member of the Trade Committee on the EPA negotiations.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I've been on trade for quite some time. It's just that there are others who are also equally capable, and so they speak on the matter.
That's new to me, actually. Very good background to the conversation, though.
Yeah.
So what was the selling point from the trade minister and trade ministry for this particular bill?
Well, I was particularly advantaged in the sense that because of my legal background, when the amendment was given to us, I read it through, and I took part in convincing some of the majority members that the bill, I mean, in fact, you realize that in the first provision of the amendment, the bill uses shall, and the minister shall, and one particular member of the committee said, no, it should be may, so you give the minister a discretion. Then I was able to convince, and it was accepted by the promoters of the bill, that shall is used on purpose to communicate a mandatory position, remove the discretion of the minister, and embolden, if or otherwise give confidence to the investors that they will have a regime that promotes certainty and predictability. And so it was important that you had shall. But the sticking matter, actually, and so I really have no problem with promoting investment that is intended to industrialize the country.
Which is fundamentally the purpose object of this particular bill.
So there's no problem. There's no fundamental problem with the intention of the bill. But what has been put in the bill to actualize that intention is the problem.
Okay, what is in the bill? Break it down for me.
First of all, it's an amendment to the Customs Act. The Customs Act is an act of general application. Anybody bringing in goods is subject to the Customs Act. Now, but you are promoting an investment. You want to promote an investment, so and you are targeting a specific type of investors. So my first objection, even in the committee, was that what ought to be done was to devise a legal regime unique and distinct, directed towards the investors that you are targeting. Okay, so
don't
you
subsume it under the existing law and try and amend it.
No.
Create a separate regime for it.
Separate regime, incentive investment regime, with a regulatory framework for that type of industry. So you see, anybody coming in will know immediately that if you are coming to invest in automobile vehicle manufacture, this is the type of regime that you are coming after. I mean, under. And this is the regulatory framework. probably I need to expand on the regulatory framework. Ghana is a member of the African Free Continental, Free Trade Continental Area. So just like the Free Trade Zone, people within the Free Trade Zone are allowed to offload a certain proportion of their, or a certain portion of their goods onto the local market. Free Trade Zone is principally for exports. Now, but in our case, they are coming to manufacture vehicles in Ghana to take advantage of the Ghanaian market. And that's why we are giving them a tax waiver. Now, you will want to control the likely practice which the investor can exploit by assembling his vehicles here and re-exporting them onto the African market. So the investor would have taken your waiver and still assemble vehicles here and re-export. So you need to regulate. If the investor wants to re-export, what percentage of the manufacture of the vehicles can be eligible for re-export? Okay. Now, so there was no incentive regime, distinct and unique to the investor. So the investor is coming under the General Customs Act, but in this case, we are amending it to accommodate them. And I cited the case of Newmont for Kufuor. When President Kufuor wanted an investment company to come into the Brown-Ahafo region, then constituted, it devised a separate, distinct legal regime for Newmont with a regulatory framework. So it's not new. What I'm saying is not new. And that was what attracted Newmont to that area.
Okay. But if you look at what has become controversial, and rightly so, because of the sheer number of people this will affect, which is the ban on the importation of used vehicles over 10 years and a complete ban on salvage vehicles. That is a smart policy move, isn't it? Short term is going to hurt. Long term is going to have significant benefit for the economy. Why? Because some may say, if these investors, you agree, you set your basis that you are for the investment. You want the VWs, the Nissans, also, you want them to come and establish because it's good for everybody, it's good for Ghana. However, they will not come if they know the market is diminished. So if you block the importation of second-hand vehicles as this bill is proposing, that then leaves a huge market for them locally, for them to tap into. Isn't that why this particular aspect of the bill is a genius masterstroke?
But that is exactly, I mean, you have explained it better, probably because you're sitting outside. It's just the vehicle manufacturers know that the income levels are low in Ghana.
Yeah.
That given a natural choice over vehicles, most Ghanaian consumers will go for used vehicles.
True.
Because that's what they can afford.
True.
And so used vehicles will be in direct competition with their manufactured vehicles.
Absolutely.
If they do the financials, they might not be encouraged to come in.
Yeah.
Because they will have no sales, and so no profit, no margins. And so one way to get government one way to get them to come is for government to ban used vehicles. So it is not because of pollution purposes. I hear people argue pollution. It is because they want to expand.
Has government said use pollution as an?
But they have used pollution.
But in the bill that I'm just reading, and even in the committee's own recommendation, it said it clearly that that's going to provide, going to make it financially viable. Let me ask your position though, just so that I don't get it wrong. Fundamentally, are you for the ban of the importation of the used vehicles beyond 10 years and complete outright for salvage? Are you for the ban?
Fundamentally, there are things that ought to be done for you to arrive at whether you want a ban or not. So the answer is it depends. Because the Ghana automotive manufacturing industry policy is intended to create jobs. So you need to do a net swap of the potential jobs that will be created by the industry and the jobs that are already in existence. There is no way you can support a policy if the number of jobs available to the Ghanaian will be diminished by the introduction of the policy. You have no rational, logical, and empirical basis to arrive at that conclusion because that has not been provided. I suspect that has not been done.
So it means you don't have a position yet? Is that what it is?
No, I say that you can't have a position until you are convinced that certain things have been done that point clearly that, look, if there is a ban, the vehicle importers, the second-hand dealers will not be hard done by.
Okay, and I see your point. So what your point is, do the analysis, tell me, yes, if you have a car manufacturing plant in Ghana to create jobs.
Yes.
But on the balance, will we lose more jobs than we create?
More. Yeah.
Than we create? Because you can create 1,000 jobs, but the automotive second-hand dealers probably have 10,000 jobs. So you create 10, but you've lost
10,000.
10,000. You're saying that analysis has to be done? Okay.
Then you have to do an income analysis in the sense that manufactured new vehicle in Ghana will cost, I mean, if you just even basics, which has basics, not luxury, probably between $15,000 to $20,000.
How many Ghanaians can afford that?
Yes. So you need an income analysis. So if Ghanaians cannot afford an outright purchase, what are you putting in place to ensure that
they can afford it?
That there are leasing companies.
You raise fundamental questions. But I need to ask you, I'll come back to explore this in detail, but very quick, straight answer to this. I know you don't have those details that you're asking for, but on the basis of what you have been given so far, if you just ask you to operate with what you've been giving so far, would you support it?
No.
Okay. Because hold on, even don't explain. I'll come back to you to explain. I wanted to go to Edikusi Ankoma. He's a Greater Accra Chairman, Automobile Dealers Association, and CEO of Erata Motors. Joins us on the line. Hi, Ms. Ankoma.
Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for joining us. First, let me ask you what you make of the bill, the proposed ban on importation of used vehicles beyond 10 years, and a complete and outright ban on salvage vehicles. Where do you stand on that?
Okay. With the car dealers position here in Ghana, we don't have the problem on over 8 cars. And also the accident, we don't have the problem. But the problem that we have is that, you see, when you talk about cars that are over 10, you must specify, because there are certain cars, the luxury one, the antique. Those cars, we have reached a point. So you cannot say these cars will be banned. Good. And also, when
I'm sorry, Ms. Ankoma, the line isn't great. We need to rectify that because there have been breaks intermittently as you speak. We're trying to rectify that. When we do, we'll get very important input we need to have, because as we've been talking about, they stand to lose the most, and so it's important to get their input. And I wonder if they've been consulted. Though I'll ask him when he joins us on the line as we fixed it to challenge with this. So, Ms. Inusah, you were going to explain why you stated that initial position that on the basis of what you've been given, it's not something you support.
Yeah, because it's a half-hearted approach to get the needed investment by automotive industry into this country. When you read the law, when the report says that we are going to waive a quantum amount of $802 million over a period of 3 years. On the basis of what? What vehicles are they manufacturing? How have you computed the tax? This could only be the idiosyncrasies of those who have worked on the bill, thinking that the companies will do certain things, and if they do them, they will have this tax waiver. There's no empirical basis at all. History teaches us that the future depends on the present. And the present depends on the past. In this country, we had BOAF. You know that vehicle? Where is it now? Why has it collapsed? What is the case study to inform this bill? I mean, how can we be doing this as if there was no past? The new plan, they produce mass occupancy vehicles, you know?
Yeah. They
So
recently went under.
So why have they gone under? What evidence, investigation have we done to inform what we are doing? You remember Nigeria?
Yeah.
Peugeot cars.
In fact, they gave us a lot for our police under Kufuor.
Where is it now? It's struggling in Nigeria. Why is that so? If new vehicles at basic will cost between 12 to 15 or 20,000, is the policy intended towards getting government to buy vehicles from these companies? Is it a government-targeted policy? Because it's only government which will be able to buy such vehicles. The public sector workers, just a few earn above $1,000 a month. So how are they going to combine that? And so there's no clarity in what we are seeking to do. And that's why I have fundamental difficulties. The policy is a good policy. I mean, if you are able to get all the fundamentals right, you not only create employment, you cut down on environmental pollution.
Because they're brand new cars.
They're brand new cars.
Yeah, but in
you
this
cut down on the use of hard-earned currency to buy spare parts to replace the old vehicles.
Oh, goodness. Now you've not even brought up the other ripple effect.
Yes.
The spare parts dealers will also take a significant hit.
Because they go.
Because if the VW is set up here to manufacture, they will provide you the spare parts. So you don't have to go to Abosokan anymore. And if you're not getting...
And then because they are used cars and they are salvage cars, some of them are damaged. So we have a gamut of people dealing with body works and spray.
Have you owned a second-hand?
All my vehicles, apart from those I bought from Parliament, are second-hand vehicles.
I recently bought one, and as you say, it's true. It's partly damaged, slight. You bring it here, you go to Abosokan, you buy the parts, you give it to your bodyworks guy,
and he does it. So if you start manufacturing new vehicles, all of them will go out of business. But there will be a radical change. So what are you doing to contain them? That's so probably we're with Eddie.
Yeah.
And because I know that one of them was there, and he said, look, we are not opposed. All that we are looking for is protection.
Okay.
How will we be treated?
Let's bring him in. Hopefully the line is better now. Mr. Nkrumah, thank you again for your patience. Let's see if we get a better connection to you. He is a Greater Accra Chairman, Automobile Dealers Association, CEO of Erata Motors. You are making a point. You're giving your initial reaction to the ban, proposed ban, I must say.
Yes, that's true. The thing is, we, the Dealers Association, we are not against the law. The government bringing in a new, let's say, manufacturers to compete with us. But here's the point. If you are a government and you are bringing in a competitor, but the law that you've come out with is going to give a privilege to the competitor to overcome you, like to get a good stand. So I think it's not fair there. Yes. And also, you see, when you read the law, I don't know if the MP with you has read what is coming out well. The manufacturer, cars that they cannot produce here, or they cannot manufacture here, if they bring it in, they will have a duty rebate. That means they're going to have special duty that we give to them. Meanwhile, we are in the same business, and you are going to impose 30%, 35% on the car as duty, plus the 17.5. So a car duty now is 52.5% or more. So the used car, when you bring it in, you can't insert. And don't forget also that we have people in this country, like the trucks that they use to carry passengers, carry water, and taxis and so forth. You can't use these cars to, like, you can't buy brand new to use for these activities. No matter what, the taxi, let's say the Toyota Corolla, whatsoever, it's not going to cost about $10,000. It's going to be more. There's no way new cars are going to be cheaper than used cars. So the government has to think about those who cannot afford buying buying brand new cars. That's a big point over there. And Minister, my MP at the station we do was saying something about the labor or the let's say the permanent rate. That one is 50-50. We are not sure that how many people are going to employ in this company or this company. Because most of these companies use robots. So you go to the factory, a very big factory, and you have just a few. Good. But there's another point that I've realized also. See, when you go outside countries that they produce cars, when you go to a assembly plant, Master, it's a big city of it's a big town.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you go to Germany, like Daimler Benz, the mistake. It's a big town of itself. But we have not been seeing anything like that. But we heard that on 18, they are going to launch the first car, videos coming and so forth. Nobody has seen the plant that they've planted, the factory they've done and so forth. We haven't seen anything like that. So the law that they've, for me, as I said right now, I think that it's going to pave a way for them. They will just make 310 cars here, and they will be shipping their cars from wherever they are and bringing it to Ghanaians to back.
Yeah. Okay. So that is something you expect will happen, but if let's talk about so they are also allowed. Actually, you're also allowed to import cars they don't manufacture here, but bring them in to sell.
Yeah, we can bring them, but they are making a duty that we're paying 10%, 35, plus the VAT. So you are going to pay duty on a car is about 52.5%. That one should be clear to everybody.
Which car are you talking about? Are you talking about the
all cars? It's all cars.
Okay, including the brand new ones.
And no. They're like, okay, brand new one that are not manufactured here, importing into the country. Whosoever will bring that car, you are going to pay 52.something% as a duty.
Okay, so what it means is that government is also, creating a disincentive for importing all manner of cars, so that it can encourage the local manufacturing of cars that are already here.
Good.
Okay.
So that people can patronize those cars. But my point is, Chief, you see, we are in the country that let's say the financial position of a lot of people are very weak. A lot of people cannot even afford buying a car that has over 10,000. A lot. So if you are saying that you are coming to manufacture a car here, there is no way that brand new car like Toyota Corolla will cost less than $10,000. No way.
No, of course. I mean that is true. Let me ask you though. I mean, Erata is one of the well-known garages in this country. If this particular law is passed the way it is, how will it affect Erata Motors?
One, our prices will go very high. So, like, when you come to Erata, cars that we are selling maybe at the cost of maybe 100,000 Ghana cedis is going to be extra about 25 or 30% more.
So you're saying that if this bill is passed into law, even the second-hand vehicles you have will cost more?
It will cost more, yes, because all the duties that we are coming out with is going to be very high. Yes.
But
now we are paying 10%. Listen, we are paying 10% on Corolla. Okay, and you pay the VAT, that is a 17.5. So it's 27.5. That is clear. Good. And the SUVs, cars that are over 3.0 engines, we pay 20% plus the VAT, so let's say 37.5%. That is clear. But now, all these ones is going to be equal, like you pay the same duty.
How many?
Smaller car
Tell me, do you bring in salvage vehicles for repairs in Ghana for sale?
No, we don't do that at all. ERATA doesn't do that, so we don't. It doesn't have any now.
Okay. Will this? Yes. Will this also affect jobs at ERATA?
The job that is going to affect it, if I'm there and I cannot serve, then I don't think the people that are there will be significant. I will just employ a few people.
So their fear is that it will put you out of business.
That one is something that is like.
Let me ask you: has the government consulted the association at all? Your association, your members?
Yeah, we've met with the minister, and we have explained all these points to him clearly. But to me, when we met him, we didn't have. We knew that the duty is going to be 35. We told him it's too high, but he argued it out that all the you see, these manufacturers, when they are coming in, they come out with what they like. And the countries that they've been able to succeed, the laws that have been made for them. So they come out with these things. If you can do this for us, we will come. So they have been compared because of maybe what they are doing in South Africa or Tunisia or so. So because of those laws, they are trying to apply the same thing here. Good. But here is the point that when you look at people at Abosokan, people at Kumasi Magazine, guys fitting shops, these areas, all these guys, this is the business that they depend on.
Yeah.
So listen, in future, when somebody buy a car for maybe VW, and he has a problem within a year, he will send it to where he bought the car for them to fix, because the company will come out with a workshop, big workshop.
So I get the point you're making, and that is the ripple effect this will have on jobs and businesses. So going forward, Parliament is considering this. We have the we have a member of the committee. There's a deputy vice is joining us shortly. What do you want to see? What would you expect your MPs to do with this particular bill? Should they reject it completely, or they should just make amendments to it? And what amendment? Very briefly.
Amendment to it. One, the duty that they're coming out, I think it's so high.
Okay, what will you prefer?
20% for the smaller ones, and the bigger one, 30%. That one is okay. Because the government himself knows that the duty on cars was too expensive. That is why they came out with 30% rebate for all Ghanaians. But all of a sudden, if you are coming out with this, it is too much.
Okay.
And they should consider that it's not everybody who can afford buying.
Yeah.
You can't use new car to do taxi. You can't use new car to do Uber. Yeah, there's so many things that you can't use.
To do trotro. I mean, but some may argue that in Ghana we should aim to get to a point where we'll use new cars for these purposes. But I'm grateful that you joined me, Mr. Nkoma. I'm going to take a quick break. When I return, the vice chairman for the Trades Committee will join me. And then he can get to answer a few of the questions, because this is being pushed from his side. Stay with us. You're still with me on PM Express. My guest in the studio is Inusah Fuseini. You've also been listening to, just before the break, to Eddie Kusi Nkoma. He's a Greater Accra chairman of the Automobile Dealers Association, CEO of ERATA Motors. We've just been joined by Mr. Tuphanford. He's a vice chairman of the Trade Industry and Tourism Committee and MP for Shama. Thank you very much, Mr. Tuphanford, for your time. Let's just go straight to the point, because there's a lot of discussion before you joined us. You've recommended, the committee, that this bill is passed into law. But we've just heard from the automobile dealers, so those who sell the used cars in Ghana, the sheer impact of this it's huge. I've heard Honorable make the point that they haven't seen the scientific analysis, the cost-benefit analysis that should legitimize a recommendation for approval by the House. So, for example, how many Ghanaians will be affected by this? How many jobs will be lost against how many jobs will be created? This is going to affect Abosokai, the spare parts dealers. It's going to affect the garages who sell the used cars. It's going to affect mechanics who repair the used cars. Because, of course, if I buy a VW car from a VW manufacturing plant, or I take it there for repair, so you cut them out. It's just a huge number of people who are going to be affected. So how do you justify?
Thank you very much, Evans, and then just a little apology because of, I've explained
yes.
while I was on my way here, had to be intercepted by your other branch, that's the Adom FM, but thankfully I'm here to join my colleague and my brother. Good evening.
Yes, sir.
Yes. I think we've looked at this bill carefully, and then its justification and everything, But then, whilst the government has a policy to try and make sure that we have, the automobile industry established well in Ghana, you look at it, from that angle, then and say, what are the pros and cons? What are the benefits, and then that sort of thing, For me, the industrialization agenda that this government has is very important to touch on this very, very vast, huge, industry area. And then we need to start to put certain things in place, and which will start from the policy direction of the whole government, and then you come up to what will be the laws to be able to govern the whole industry properly. And then what are the things that we need to put in place to ensure that we have a smooth flight of this kind of industry. Coming back to your concern, and the concerns raised about, what is going to be the positive impact of it, let me say that we've all been outside there, we've lived there, and we see how this automobile industry operates. Apart from the manufacturers, there are other ancillary industry that spins around this whole industry. Now, Ghanaians are importing spare parts, bringing it in. Let's think about, what about Ghanaians also manufacturing spare parts?
That is an ideal hard to attain.
It's not too hard to attain, because as I speak today, there is one company here in Ghana that has been assigned to do just even the windscreens of some of the you see, so you have the main line before a vehicle will be even assembled together. It is not, let's say, Toyota that does all the parts of the vehicle. Bosch is doing some, this is doing that, this is doing that.
But we don't have that capacity.
That's the reason why we have that sort of 3 years, gap in there for us to build the capacity of all these, other ancillaries.
We've heard this before in the oil sector. We've heard it in other sectors and say build capacity. It never happens the way it's put in the law.
It is up to us, the Ghanaian entrepreneurs, for us to take this opportunity, great opportunity. If I have been importing spare parts, would I have to think about it and making sure that maybe bringing one or two machinery together to create a part for this industry?
Where's the incentive in the law to allow that Ghanaian to do what you're suggesting?
You see, interestingly enough, when we were having these deliberations, I was sitting with my own colleague, and we were looking at some of the issues. I said, look, yes, you put in the law. The how is by the allies. The how, that's the regulation. The regulations to tell you this how to do this. You see, the most important concern that I also, bear with our vehicle importers and etc. is that when they stop bringing in these vehicles, are they going to have direct dealership with these companies? And then what is the regulation or the law telling ensuring that they'll have direct dealership with them and etc. And then these are the things that you can fix these things by your regulations that you put in. And then my colleague and senior counsel here, we sat in the committee, looked at all these sort of things. In fact, some of their concerns, we together, in fact, he is a veteran, on the committee too. And then we said, look, you hold on a minute, you can just, put all your issues together and bring it before the committee, and then we'll look at it, because we can cure it up with the legislative instruments. So in the process as we are considering this sort of whole bill, That is where.
But you've already recommended that should be approved.
No, yes, I'm saying that we are considering, because it's at the consideration stages on the floor of Parliament now. So as we are
But at the committee level?
At the committee level, You've
already written your opinion.
Yes, our report has
yes.
Our report has
Your report says approved.
Yes.
My question fundamentally, and Mr. Inusah Fuseini asked that at the beginning, what is the scientific basis for the approval? I know the intention, you've spelled it out.
Yeah.
It's obvious for anybody looking at it why this has been done. But there must be, it shouldn't be just based on intentions and objectives. It should be based on what is the cost-benefit analysis. How many jobs, for example, will the manufacturing of cars in Ghana create in the short, medium, long term?
Yeah.
How many jobs will we lose from the already established importers of used cars, Aboso spare parts dealers and spare parts across the country, mechanic? Have we done that?
All these have been done.
Really?
And then you see, if you look at the policy, if you see the policy document, you see it spells out most of these sort of things. Even we can ask ourselves that, how did we even estimate the impact or the ramification on the loss of the import duties that we'll be collecting as a nation? You know, about 800 and something. That is 800. If you look at it per year, it's about 200 and something. You know, this, I think, compared to what we will be able to produce, and then the tangible and the intangible assets thereof, you know, I think it's way huge, more than what we should be looking at here. But let me say that, look, in the passing of a whole bill, my senior brother here will tell you that, look, you must get your policies right, and that out of the policies will make your.
So how many jobs will this create if the vehicle manufacturers indeed arrive?
In fact, from what I have looked at within that document, it's close to about 45 million something, about thereabout.
Million jobs?
Thousands.
45,000 jobs?
Yes, 45,000
really?
jobs. From because we only have Volkswagen coming in, we have Toyota coming in.
Yeah,
Nissan. Suzuki is there, and then even our local one, the Kantanka, is also there. When you assemble the plant, one plant can take almost about 2,000, employees on an assembly plant. You see it, and then for me, you look at the direct and the indirect, impact of the whole employment that it creates. It is not only on the main assembly plant alone. You see, so these are there. And then when you do all this analysis and you look at it, okay, the approach has also been, not just one-off, and then it goes on. And so as we move on with these companies who have expressed the interest to come and then do that, I think, Volkswagen is even already in the system already. Now, I think at the meeting, we all had that, the ministry did inform us that they are here. I think we're here last August or something. And then they are putting things in place. You see. So when we look at the scientific analysis that you're talking about, I think from the ministry's work interaction, I was on the Adom FM, and then the freight forwarders, including the importers of these used vehicles, they were all saying that, look, this is a laudable idea and very brave.
They say they're not opposed to it, but they need incentives for themselves as well.
You see, that is where, in fact, my colleague and myself, at the committee, we said, look, yes, we will hear you, put everything on paper, and let's see how best, we use the regulations to do that. Because if you're looking at the local content of how the Ghanaian or a wholly Ghanaian entrepreneur will have that dealership arrangement, and then because their concerns are also quite understandable. At their garage, maybe they might have somebody who is not even a handsome, might be doing the car washing. Apart from that, there will be mechanic to fix up something before they put a car on sale, and etc. These are the indirect things that will happen around them. And we respect that. I must say that we respect that.
Mr. Fuseini, 40,000+ jobs. You said he's seen the cost-benefit.
My vice chairman, because he's vice chairman, is privileged to have seen the policy. I've not seen the policy. But we don't have expertise in the manufacture of anything concerned with vehicles. Probably only washing it when it has been produced.
The thing is that if you go to Abosoka and behind, You see the number of,
and Swami magazine.
And auto mechanics that they have.
We have auto mechanics.
Yeah.
We have auto mechanics, but we have no engineers. Vehicle manufacture goes beyond auto mechanics. You need engineers, because there must be synchronization of all the parts of the vehicle to move and be safe. And so you need a lot of things. Now, the second thing I say is that Kantanka, he just mentioned Kantanka. You see why the policy, we have to interrogate it. The legal regime, regulatory regime present was what Kantanka exploited. And Kantanka, when it was coming in, did not ask for any incentives. Kantanka came in, was competing with used cars, was competing with salvage cars, was competing with Nissan, Volkswagen, new, imported, assembled pieces. And now, Nissan says it's coming, Volkswagen says it's coming. They will say, oh no, we now need to reach out to them. The question to ask, what business model was Kantanka pursuing that made him compete with already established brands and also the second-hand dealers? So that's why I'm saying that I have not seen the policy. Now, I will doubt if they have done the comparative study.
He says they have.
Well, I will doubt it. Because even the minister, when we asked him, we're on the floor of the House, he said, well, if you want to engage me, I can come later and engage you on the policy. Because I thought when we raised this issue, and I've worked with, since he was trade minister under Kofo, I've said I'm the longest serving member. Okay. He was the one who sent me to Belgium to be part of the negotiation. That time Bedu Ansa was the minister. And so, if the minister had the policy, if the minister had the figures, what prevented him from answering my issues with the figures? Nothing. You understand? And so there clearly are issues. I don't want us to reduce this thing to partisan considerations.
Oh, no.
I don't want us, Ghana, not me and you are. Yeah. Me and you, we have gone beyond that. We don't reduce.
No. That's
I just want us to know that yes, there's everything good about a laudable policy, but implementation is another game altogether. And that yes, we might bring these vehicles. Look, in Zimbabwe, they signed an investment agreement with a vehicle manufacturer. They didn't establish, that company did not establish a plant. They started bringing in manufactured or already assembled vehicles into Zimbabwe. It didn't create any job.
Yeah. The vehicle dealerships, or what the auto guys say, then part of the law, the proposed bill, allows the manufacturers to import finished.
It's for a period of 3 years.
Why?
There's a cap there. You see,
why?
You cannot just all of a sudden just nip it off that don't import these cars into this nation because before.
That isn't a manufacturing deal you're signing with them, not an importation deal.
No, you see,
because they're going to benefit from all the incentives when they import.
Yeah. You see,
and they're going to flood our markets with these already manufactured cars that have absolutely no benefit for us other than they taking the money that they get.
The issue here is that, if they are importing these vehicles and then coming in without, those, how do you call it, as a brand new vehicle coming in, and then they have the waiver of the duties and etc. It is for you and I, our benefit.
Why?
Because I am not going to pay that sort of thing. As a nation,
so you expect
it is the impact thereof is the collections that will be losing, and as we that assessment has been done, that within that period we're going to lose. The impact is about 800 thereof.
$800 million.
Ghana cedis.
800 million Ghana cedis.
Which every year the estimation is roughly around 200 and something thereabout. And so that is the impact. So you assess all these sort of things and look at as compared to.
You say it's a fair price to pay for the long term benefit.
For the kind of industry that we are going to promote.
So what? Explain to me. So they can now bring in the beginning 3 years they can bring in their finished already assembled cars elsewhere into Ghana, and then at what point do they stop and start manufacturing it here?
No, you see, you will have to go through the process and everything to get yourself regularized, as the manufacturer. Okay, and then from that point, you have that leverage. You can bring your same vehicle model. If it is Volkswagen, this model, that model, that also has to be approved by the minister, and that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I get you. I just wanted to explain to me why is it that they have to. You've given them 3 years to still import cars. Not
because
why can't they just go from the get-go start manufacturing?
No, you can't just go wake up that first time to say that you are manufacturing, because it takes a process. Establishing the whole plant itself will take you some time. The factory line itself, putting out the line itself, will take. Decommissioning even the whole line.
I get it. This is just a layman's question.
Yes.
Why can't they? Because factories are established all the time. It takes time. Allow them to. 3 years.
By the time you finish establishing a whole complete automobile line, should take you close to about a year.
Because already the VW cars are in
from my experience, decommissioning. In Sweden and England, Honda was decommissioning its whole line. It took them 8 months to decommission that line.
Very finally, I have just a few seconds to wrap up. Can the players in the industry currently who are complaining, can they expect some tweaks, at least, the incentive they are asking?
You see, Evans...
is Parliament open to that? Is your committee open to that?
Where we are fixing the law itself. And then if you listen to their concerns and everything, it's all about the how. And then what are our concerns as a local,
Will they get anything? I have 10 seconds, I'm told.
What I'm sure that, as they come to the committee, we'll be able to package that appropriately in terms of using that second leg, that is the regulations, to deal with those.
To face the problem. Yes, I'm grateful, Mr. Pamford.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Inusah Fuseini, thank you for joining me again. Always exciting to have you.
The strategy. The strategy is to raise vehicles locally, raise the price of vehicles locally, to make the vehicles that will be manufactured in Ghana competitive.
Yeah, we'll see. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Thank you for joining.